What's good? Welcome to the Central Ohio Hoops Report. We do this Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can catch it on the 270 Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube page, 270 Hoops. You can also catch it on the Central Ohio High School Showcase pages, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Always with my man Zach Fleer. What's up, man? Good morning. How you feeling, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I slept at 8 full hours, which is the first time all basketball season. So it's really nice. I'm feeling good.
We got a big show today, man. Special guest, one of the best players in America, football, basketball.
I heard he's a pretty good baseball player too, but he don't play that anymore. So.
Man, I heard that too. And then I learned a lot about this young man in the pre-production meeting, man. So Jack Sawyer from Pickerington North, he's going to be with us today. Again, one of the top football players in America, one of the top basketball players in the state and in the country as well. So we're going to sit down with him and chop it up later, man. Excited about this interview. But it's hoops, man. That's just what we do, right? Sure. Had a big night last night. We got the pick six that we're still going to get to as well. We had a lot going on. Tuesday, it was a big week. You saw some games on Tuesday as well.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that game a little later, but that Pick North Dublin Kaufman game was, for me, the game of the week, Tuesday or Friday, and lived up to the hype. A lot of talent on both teams, and those guys went down to the wire.
Yes, it was. Two great players there. Dominique Penn from Dublin Kaufman, Jack Sawyer from Pickerington North. Both were going at it. Yeah, it was exciting, man. But we had some excitement last night, man, because me and you got out.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Newark, who had been on an unbelievable roll, a historic roll, right?
Yeah, so they had won 24 straight OCC Capital games. They had not lost an OCC conference game since what I believe was Nick Ward and Gahanna back in 2016. But since they joined the OCC Capital, no team had played within 6 points of them. They had thoroughly dominated, whether that was BJ Dueling or JT Shoemate. And then now with this team, it's a little different than Newark teams of the past. Still, they were 11-1 coming in, 4-0 in conference play, 24 straight OCC wins. But they're going up against another undefeated team in Canal Winchester that I think put the area on notice last night.
The area definitely, for sure. And maybe even the state, man. It was a great game, great atmosphere. It was a lot of fun, fast-paced, tempo, yeah. Shots going up. So I was definitely impressed with both teams and what they can maybe look forward to as far as when we get to the tournament. But I want to get started, man. Let's run down some scores from last night and just talk about some of the things that we may have seen. We'll let you know what games are on our Pick Six, but you can check that out on our social media as well. And then, man, we'll get into the Pick Six. You still got your stars of the night, some huge scores from the week, right?
There's some crazy ones. The leading scorer, what he did, hadn't been done at his school in about 64 years now. So
that's a beautiful tease, man. Stop there.
Stop right there.
64 years. But think about that for a minute. All right. Let's run down some scores, man. It's the Central Ohio Hoops Report score rundown, man. Let's run them down. Westone, they get the victory last night, 54-47 over International. But I like what Mike Bell's doing, man. He's got these kids playing tough,
competing.
Playing hard. They are competing. So shout out to Mike Bell over there at International. Walnut Ridge, 65-48 over Eastmoor. Walnut Ridge continues to impress in the city, but they've got a big one coming up for sure.
January 18th.
Get
there. If you're not going to Flying to the Hoop yet, get to that game. There's only one side of bleachers, so you better get there early.
Yes.
Walnut Ridge and South, Part 2 is going to be worth the price of admission for sure.
The team we're talking about, South High School, 69-43 over Afrocentric High School. While we on South, I just want to take this moment to let everybody know, if you don't know, if you haven't realized it out there, Columbus Public Schools, the South High Bulldogs are the third-ranked team in the state of Ohio in Division II. I think that has been kind of underplayed. Not really a lot of people talking about it within the city, but this is a great team, great coaching staff.
And they lost 7 seniors from last year too. So to be, I think they're 10 or 11-0 right now.
Yes.
And rolling is pretty impressive. And they're going to keep it going because they got good guards. And when you have good guards, you have a chance to win every single night. So South, there's not another, I don't think there's another challenger in that City League division other than South that can really take them to the wire. So we'll see. Or Walnut Ridge, sorry. And they'll be, doing battle on Friday night.
I can't wait for that,
That's
man.
gonna be fun.
South High Bulldogs, number 3 in the state, man. Pay attention to that. Briggs, they get a victory last night, 72-44 over Independence. Marion Franklin, a 1-point victory over West High School, 76-75. Beechcroft, they get the victory, 62-53 over East. A game that's going to be in our pick 6 we'll talk about. Lyndon McKinley, they get the victory over Centennial, 61-56. Northland struggled last night, 56-52 over Mifflin, but Northland they still remaining in that catbird seat in the City League North, possibly.
Yeah, them and Beechcroft right now, I think, are the top 2 competitors. Lyndon McKinley's having a quiet year as well. At least in conference play, they've struggled in non-conference, but to go on the road and beat Centennial last night, that was pretty big for them. And like you said, we'll get into that one a little later in the pick 6. But for the Panthers, the roster's going to change a little bit after last night, but they still got some talented pieces, and David Brown's a senior on that team that's really stepped up this year.
I know some people are going to want to talk about this, and we probably won't have time today, but just the whole rule, the transfer rule, how it's kind of taking effect, and it is going to have an impact going forward. Oh, yeah. Some teams that are very powerful now, and some teams that are dependent on players. The rosters are going to shake up, and it's going to play a big part in how we looks when we get to tournament time.
Yeah, so just on that, transfer subject, Pickerington Central, they're going to be down 2 starters after last night. Jay Rogers and Sam Towns, both seniors, ruled ineligible by the OHSA for the second half and tournament. And for them, that's 22 points per game combined. And, their family members, they're tight-knit, almost like brothers. They had some chemistry between those two that really fed off on the rest of the team. So it's going to be interesting for Pick Central. They're going to be down probably 3 starters tonight at Eastmore because Colton Landis is battling an ankle injury. So we'll see if Eastmore has a chance against a Pickerington team that is little on the light side right now with the guys that they're losing in that rotation.
I did see Colton tweet out last night that he hopes he'll be fine. So our prayers go out to you. Get well, get back. They're going to need you for sure. So, and I just – on my soapbox real quick, man, look, the rule, I understand what it's intended to do, and I do think that there are individuals out there that can kind of manipulate the system both for good and bad. But ultimately, this affects the kids. That is not what we want. Yeah. We have seniors out there that are going to be missing the second half of their season. And
my thing is, if you want to punish adults that are recruiting, don't hurt the kid. There's got to be a different way to go about this rule. I don't know. To me it seems silly. Like, if you want to make kids miss a tournament, just make them miss the whole year. Like, I don't understand the point of playing the first 11 games and then having to change your roster over. It's just like you said, it hurts the kids more than anybody else. And
absolutely,
we're seeing that right now. I think the second half of the season is going to be really interesting with the changes that are going to be happening and just teams that are going to have to change really their entire rotation. So, and
it's going to open up the doors for some teams out there to have an opportunity to maybe make some history for their high school as well. Moving on here on the score rundown, Delaware Hayes, they get the victory last night, 59-39 over Olentangy Berlin. Thomas Worthington 54-35 over Worthington Kilbourne. Thomas Worthington is a team that I like the pieces that they have. This is a team that can make some noise when we get tournament time.
They've already doubled their win total from last year. I think they're 10-2 now. They went 5-18 last year, but they kind of clicked last year late in the season in the regular season. They took down Westerville South, and Westerville South made it all the way to the district finals last year. So Thomas is a young team. They got some sophomores on that squad that can really play, but the key has been White. He had 22 points and 14 rebounds last night. If he can continue to be a force on both ends of the floor, I think this is a team that could be a sleeper contender maybe for a district final or district semifinal. So keep a look on the Cardinals. They're in the OCC Cardinal. They're right there. Everyone's gunning at Hilliard Bradley. So they got kind of beat down the last time they played Bradley, but they got them again coming up, and I think they'll be much better than the first time around.
All right, and look, also like the show, share the show, comment on the show. We love to hear your comments out there. Again, we got a big show today. We got Jack Sawyer from Pick North is going to be on with us. So let's hear those comments out there about maybe the rule, how you feel about it, just your teams. Will this affect your teams, your favorite teams out there? Will it not? Maybe benefit your team as well. So let us know what's going on out there. A team that had the biggest win last year in the tournament, Mount Vernon, when they knocked off Pickerington North, they get a victory last night, 49-43 over Mansfield-Madison. The game we were at last night, Canal Winchester versus Newark. Canal Winchester gets the victory, 67-61. That game will be in our pick 6. We'll talk about that more as well. Westerville Central, they lose to Westerville South 69-45. Westerville South trying to gain some traction. Upper Arlington still without Max Martz. They struggled last night against Dublin Kaufman. They lose 58-34. In the game that I thought could be, this game is in our pick six as well, as was the Dublin Kaufman Upper Arlington. But I didn't know if Pick Central would kind of get out on Gahanna and kind of beat them up a little bit. But Gahanna surprisingly kept it close, 54-63. They lose to Pick Central. Just looking on the Gahanna side of this, seeing how close it was when we get to tournament time, is this going to be a team that, my guy Sean Jones, can he spark some magic with this Gahanna team
I think they
and
got
maybe
a
win a
chance.
couple games?
I mean, they're young. They got one senior. They've really adjusted without Josh Corbin because it's looking like he's not going to come back this season. So I think they've kind of accepted that in their minds and have realized that they have to get better without him. It could be a team. They got to knock down their shots. That's the biggest thing. When Elijah Thomas, who's their senior leader, their top scorer, when he's rolling,
Yes.
they're at their best. So it's going to rely on him as the senior to really do it for him. But Sean Jones is a unique talent. I have the tape from the 2000 City League Championship game between West and Brookhaven. A friend of mine gave it to me. I was watching Andrew Lavender. I believe that was his freshman year, and part of his game reminded me a lot of Sean Jones, just the way that he can finish and get by people off the dribble despite not being the biggest player on the floor. It's going to take a lot. It's not easy as a freshman to win in the district tournament, but I think Sean's good enough to take that Gahanna team back to at least the district semifinals, where they lost last year.
Absolutely. As we keep running them down, Hilliard Bradley defense is that's their calling card. They are very, very impressive on the defensive end. They get the victory over Hilliard Darby 56-25. Dublin Jerome, they beat Dublin Scioto 56-43.
We'll talk about Jerome for a little bit. So,
please.
Dublin Jerome, we haven't really discussed them a lot yet, but they beat Delaware Hayes by 15 on Friday night or on Tuesday night, and then they win last night against Dublin Scioto. Richie Beard, their head coach, he really worked this whole offseason to get them to shoot the ball at a higher level. They made, I think, 58 threes last season alone. In their first 11 games, they've knocked down 98.
Wow.
So they have totally
Doubled
flipped the script on the way they play. They're a lot different from the OCC Cardinal teams in that division. They prefer to play at a high tempo because Richie came from Whetstone High School, so he takes some of those City League principles that he had at Whetstone, and he's applying those with his team now. But they got a junior, Dan Lee, who has been the difference for them. Didn't play varsity last year. He had 17 points last night. I believe he had 15 on Tuesday night. And then the senior, Trey Ballingy, is another player. Underrated, but he's one of the better wing forwards in that senior class. Held Taryn Kinsway of Delaware Hayes to 4 points on Tuesday night, and then I think he had 15. So Jerome's the team. They could surprise people. When they're hitting shots, they got the potential to play with anybody, and they only lost to Hilliard Bradley by, I believe, 7 or 9 points and put up 51 points on Bradley, which I don't think another team has scored over 50 on the Jags yet. So keep an eye on Dublin Jerome. They got 12 seniors, which is kind of unheard of anymore, and they're gelling at the right time. So
absolutely. Big Walnut, they get a 2-point victory over Groveport, 51-49. Nikki White, she commented and said, "Please tell me that Liberty lost." Nikki, I'm sorry, they did not lose. Olentangy Liberty, they get the victory over Olentangy 64-53. Galleon over Buckeye Valley 64-61. Olentangy Orange, they fall to Westerville North 69-65. Pick North, led by Jack Sawyer, they get the victory over Grove City last night 78-51. Your alma mater, Central Crossing, got a victory last night over Westland 59-39. Hilliard Davidson, they get the victory 71-64 over Marysville.
Davidson,
go ahead.
Before we move on,
Yes,
Davidson
please.
is a team to not sleep on. They got Gage Keys back, who was their junior center, big-time football prospect, but he's also really good on that basketball floor. They have, I believe, 4 or 5, maybe 5 or 6 guys over 6'4", and quite a few at 6'7".
They were long, when we watched them play.
They didn't have Gage Keys yet. Gage is a bruiser on the inside and got a lot of skill around the basket. So Davidson could be another team. I think they play Bradley here in 2 or 3 weeks. They beat Bradley last year, and I think they may have a shot to do it again because it's the way they play. They play a slow-down game, but they also can play up-tempo, as last night, 71 on the Marysville team that can really light it up. So don't sleep on Davidson. I think that's a squad. I think they're maybe 11-2 now. They got size and skill and guys who can shoot and then bang inside. And
it's a great culture over there, led by toughness. The football team is tough, and that permeates throughout the school. Have awesome athletes on the track and field side. They know what they're doing over there, man. It's really good programs ran all the way throughout the sports programs over at Hilliard-Davidson. So congratulations to them, and look out for them as we talked about. Another game that's going to be in our Pick Six we'll talk about. This one, I'm kind of surprised by the score. Jonathan Alder, 58-40 over London. London was a team that had been getting a lot of buzz. They had ran off some games, started off this year slow, missing some players, and they ran off some victories, but they take a tough loss last night to Jonathan Alder. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. Reynoldsburg, they get the victory 59-35 over Lancaster. We did have a comment, too, from Chevis Wilson. He talked about the rule, and he said that rule was definitely going to help out Reynoldsburg. So we'll see. But that's a team that has talent.
Yep.
They can make plays, but we'll see how their season progresses. They've not been there in the big game. We need Reynoldsburg to be there in the big game so we can continue, because the talent's there. Let's make some plays, big guys. New Albany, 56-45 over Franklin Heights. Ontario, they lose to Pleasant last night, 57-52. West Jeff, 64-50 over Cedarville. Tree of Life, a team that's ranked, a team that you talked about early in the year,
Division 4,
in Division 4, 56-49 over Kip Columbus.
Yeah, Kip Columbus, that's a charter school that should be OHSA certified next year. Tree of Life, they're senior laden. They took a couple tough losses over break to West and Whetstone at Division 1, but Division 4 is wide open. I think there's only 5 or 6 teams that have a winning record in D4 right now, so it's really anybody's division, and Tree of Life has some size and athleticism. I think they can make a run there. I expect them and Fisher Catholic, Fairfield Christian, Centerburg, Byrne Union to kind of be the major players there in D4, when it comes down to tournament time. West
Muskingum, 60-44 over Lakewood. Centerburg, a team you just talked about, 64-55 over Fredericktown. And Clear Fork, they get the 57-35 victory over Marion Harding. So that's going to wrap up a score run.
Oh, we got the second place. So River Valley got a good win over Shelby, 67-66. Danville took down East Knox, 56-41. Highland beat Northmore on the road. Northmore hadn't lost a home game since, I think, 2015. They'd really dominated in the KMAC. Highland takes them down 38-33.
Impressive.
Mount Gilead behind the senior Mason Molahan. They take down Cardington 62-43. Graham Local gets the win over North Union, 58-51. Fairbanks is a team in Division III. They only have one loss, I believe, 56-36, and that loss was to Jonathan Alder the first weekend of the year. Fairbanks is rolling in D3. I think they're 11 or 12-1 right now. DeSales, so both CCL games last night went to overtime. DeSales takes down St. Charles 45-44, and then Bishop Watterson, Davis Boone scores a game-winning bucket in overtime. They take down Bishop Reedy 62-60. So both those CCL games, that conference, there's no easy matchup there, and we saw it with all 2 games, going to overtime.
And that's what I was going to say, man. We talk about the CCL, man. Not much separates these teams, man. Hartley, Watterson, DeSales, St. Charles.
They're the only conference. So I went back and did last 5-year records for all the programs. They're the only conference where all 5 of their teams are above 500 in the last 5 years.
So not only are they tough against each other, but even, moving out of conference, these teams play well, well-coached programs. CCL, man, good basketball over there for sure.
Absolutely, good coaching as well.
Absolutely. So I love the comments. I see you guys. You got comments over there? I know you got a lot of comments, man.
I just got a couple. Robert Pound's comments, and he said, you still think Central will go far in the tournament. I think they will. They're supremely talented. Some of those young guys like Garner Wallace, they're going to have to step up. I think a guy that could really, in the new role with more minutes, is Connor Macy, the junior. If he played anywhere else in the OCC, I think he'd be a star. That's a guy that's kind of had to wait his turn in the Pick Central backcourt. He could be someone that really steps up for them. They still got talent. I mean, I don't feel bad for Pick Central because they're loaded. I mean, they got guys on the bench that could start anywhere else. It sucks for the kids though. I mean, Jay Rogers and Sam Towns, they're both Pickerington kids. It's not like they moved from Springfield. They'd been in Pickerington the whole time. So to see them lose, an opportunity to play the rest of their senior year kind of sucks for me, just from a basketball standpoint, because
I agree.
Jay was playing his best basketball, and then Sam especially seemed like he was really turning a corner. So it's going to be an adjustment for Pick Central, but I think they'll be right there, when it comes to district tournament time. And they've won 5 straight district titles, or 4 of the last 5 district titles, and 1 back-to-back regionals, so I think they'll be just fine.
This is what I want to say about Pick Central, and I believe that this young man should embrace this challenge. Javon Garcia.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like he's been overshadowed. Not overshadowed. He's played with great players. Jeremiah Francis, Sterling Manley, and the list goes on and on. But there are so many people that I would tell you that they feel that Garcia is one of the top players, and I feel he's one of the top players, and I think this is his moment to provide the leadership and as a basketball player to do what we all feel that he's capable of, which is be a scorer, a facilitator, lockdown defender.
He did it last night. He had 24 points to lead Pick Central in that game. So
absolutely. And I think this is the Garcia that we should see moving forward.
Yeah.
To lead them.
Especially with him being unsigned and decommit from Miami, Ohio. Like, he's going to have to play like that.
Yes.
To get them far in order to get, some of those mid-major offers that he was coveting there in the summer. So it's going to be a challenge, but I think Pick Central is still loaded, and it hurts when you lose two seniors like that, but they still have some pretty good talent on that roster that can take them far, especially in this area. They're still supremely talented and have great coaching that have been there and done it before. So,
hey, Garcia, it's your time. I got a couple comments over here. James Glasgow, what's up, Jim? How you feeling, man? He said, love what we're doing here. Nikki White asked if we have any Dayton scores. Hey, Nikki, not right now, but hey, if you request that, we try to find a couple for you. What school you want to see? We'll follow them. All right. Chavez Wilson, Central. Going through it. Who you got? Reynoldsburg or Pick North? You want to answer that?
What? But
just Reynoldsburg or Pick North? Who you like?
I'd say Pick North.
Pick North. All right.
Yeah.
Ramon Spears. We love Ramon Spears, man. Shout out to Spears. He said this is better than First Take. Stephen A. Me. Scott Van Pelt. You. Then got a couple shows.
I'll be Max Kellerman. I can be Max Kellerman.
You rap, don't you? Max Kellerman used to rap.
In the day.
Why not?
Basketball.
Yeah, man. So we appreciate all the comments out there. We appreciate everybody checking in. Definitely appreciate all of that. So just real quick, teams that are ranked in the state from Central Ohio. Can we run through that real quick?
Yeah.
Just a second. Pick Central ranked number 2. Hilliard Bradley around number 5. Dublin Kaufman moving up. Okay, after some big wins this week, Dublin Kaufman is going to be moving up. That was in Division 1. In Division 2, the South High Bulldogs, number 3 in the state. In Division 3, we have Harvest Prep at number 3 overall, and Johnstown at a number 9. And then in Division 4, we got some teams that are kind of hanging around the top 20, which is Fisher Catholic.
I don't think we'll get a team in the top 10 in D4 this year. Reason being, Fisher Catholic's a very good team for that division, but they play in the same conference as Harvest Prep and Wellington. So those are going to be 4 tough games per year. But when it comes to district tournament time, I think you can see Fisher Catholic winning a district title there in D4. Sean Brown has done a great job. I think they had several coaches in the last 7 or 8 years. He's been there in 2 years and has turned those guys into a competitor. And they got some seniors that can play. So they're a well-coached group, and they have a lot of great team chemistry. So shout out to Fisher Catholic and especially Coach Sean Brown.
Absolutely. If we no more comments for right now, let's get on to the Pick 6. This is brought to you. This segment is brought to you by Just Hoops, by Shootaway. Just Hoops is a basketball training facility located in Powell Lewis Center, just 10 minutes from Interstate 270 off Route 23. If you haven't been there before, you have to check it out. The facility has 10 shoot-away guns for players to maximize their shooting reps, while also featuring ball handling stations and Vertimax training. On top of all that, Just Hoops has a tremendous staff of coaches developing players on all levels. Just Hoops offers a free trial session for first-time visitors. Check them out at justhoopscolumbus.com. That is justhoopscolumbus.com. And one thing before we go into the Pick 6 and talk about Just Hoops for a moment.
Yep.
You can follow them on social media, okay? You can see, I see players there before games just getting shots up. It's an awesome facility to be able to do that.
Sean Marks from Olentangy's like second or third all time there in shot makes. So
just go
proof
get
is in the
shots
pudding,
up.
man.
Yeah.
That kid can shoot it as well as anybody in the state of Ohio, and he's there all the time. Tyrese Hughes, another guy, traveling all the way from Licking Heights all the way over here to get into Just Hoops and get some shots up. So if you're looking to improve as a basketball player and especially as a shot maker, any more in basketball, you got to be able to hit shots. And
that's right.
Just Hoops is a place where you can learn how to do that. So.
All right, let's get into the Pick 6, man. Couple games that I want to get into, and we might go out of order from what you see on the screen, but don't worry about that. But I want to talk about this London team. Like I said, a lot of buzz was around them. Jonathan Arter, we know they've played a tough schedule so far, played South, took the loss there. But Jonathan Alder, let's focus on them for a moment. What do you expect moving forward? Was this a statement win for them?
I think it was for sure. London was receiving the buzz in that Central Buckeye Conference. They had run off, I think, 8 straight wins in a row coming into last night. Alder kind of put them on notice as, you know, they're the team to beat in the CBC right now until further notice. They got a great backcourt, but I think a guy who's really stepping up at the right time is junior Henry Walker. He's kind of the X factor for them, being 6'6", and their post presence. He's an athletic kid. Had a poster dunk last night that I think is either going to be up on 270 or will be up soon. Alder's got talent. That backcourt, you know, they got a trio there between Jackson Izzard, Jackie Santa Emma, and Jacob Koenig. So in D2, they could be a team that challenges South maybe for a district title, maybe runs to the other bracket and tries to, you know, get all the way to a regional. I think they made a statement last night. I think in D2 it's either them or DeSales. It's number 2, obviously, behind South. But Alder is going to be right there when it comes to, you know, the district finals.
Now let's pick up London. Where do they go from here? After the buzz they had, they run into a good team like this. Veteran team has really good players. Where does London look to? How do they bounce back from this loss?
I think they're going to be just fine. They're a young team. Their top 2 guys are both sophomores, so it's growing pains. I mean, when you're a young team and you're led by underclassmen, this is what happens, you know, every now and then. But I think they're going to be fine. That backcourt is going to be the key for them. They got, you know, a couple. Isaiah Hayden is a junior, and then they have a senior. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. But they got talent. This is the best season London's had in the last 7 or 8 years right now. Yes. Jake Andrich, as the senior, Jake Andrich, he's a knockdown shooter, played in our fall league. They got players that just, if they can get over the hump with Jonathan Alder later in the year, it could result in a CBC, you know, division champion or district conference championship. Sorry, but London, their statement win earlier this season, they take down Kenton Ridge, who beat Jonathan Alder. They beat Kenton Ridge by 12 at Kenton Ridge, and then Jonathan Alder lost to Kenton Ridge last Friday. So seeing that, I thought, you know, maybe London will have a chance on the road, but the second matchup they'll get Jonathan Alder at home. So we'll see how this young group grows. You know, Janez Cameron and Trey Woodyard, they're 2 of the best sophomores in the area, and it's the most excitement I've seen around London basketball since I started.
That's what I was going to say. This is a huge rivalry. You hear about it mostly in football. Yeah. You get off the freeway there, you take a left, you head to London. If you go right, you head to Jonathan Alder. It's not that far apart. So a big-time matchup. Jonathan Alder gets the first one. We'll see how London responds later on in the year for the get-back game. I want to move on to the second game of our Pick 6. I want to talk about Dublin Kaufman because we've seen them earlier in the year. Dublin Kaufman, they take out Upper Arlington to take down Upper Arlington. But Upper Arlington, we know, is missing some pieces. Yeah. Max Martz is still not there. But I want you to talk about Dublin Kaufman, what you've seen from them over the last week or so. The offense, the playmaker that is Dom Penn. And look, right now, ranked high in the state, and you believe that this may be a team that we may be looking for, headed to the Schottensteins when we get later in the year.
When they're at their top level, they're scary. I mean, they can get up and down the floor. That ball moves like crazy, and they just have, at all times on the floor, it seems, 5 guys who can pass, dribble, and shoot, which makes it really tough to defend at the high school level. Before they got in foul trouble, they were really rolling over Pick North on Tuesday, and then had a couple starters go out, and that's when Pick North was able to climb back. But Kaufman's loaded. The key for them is Luke Bartimus. He's the ultimate floor spacer. He had 14 points last night. In that matchup on Tuesday, he was draining some deep bombs early in the game.
He was, man. He was letting them fly, man, playing the 5 position, you know, down low. But he was out on the wing, and he was letting them go. He was knocking down a couple as well.
I mean, he's got unlimited range. He's improved as a defender, obviously. Jack Sawyer took him to the woodshed a little bit there on the block, hitting a couple, you know, turnaround jumpers. But Luke is the key, but I think in that backcourt they just got so many guys who can handle and make plays. It's more than just Dom. I think Keaton Turner was incredible on Tuesday night coming off the bench.
Yes.
When Dom got in foul trouble, I mean, he really kind of controlled the game and made some plays for them to, you know, keep them ahead.
Keaton Turner was impressive. I love his game. I love the way he got to the cup. He wasn't settling for jumpers. He knew what his strength was, and he was making plays. I love that about his game. And just talk about Dublin Kaufman on the wing. Solid on the wing as well, not just at the guard position, but they have guys on the wing.
Will Hunter.
Will Hunter.
Derek Van Vlera, Will Hunter. Last night in the game against Upper Arlington, Will Hunter was kind of the difference off the dribble. UA had a tough time containing him because he's kind of a slippery athlete. He can get by people.
He is, yeah.
Finish creatively at the rim and then also dish out to guys, and one of the better passers on that team. So I think he doesn't get enough, attention on that Kaufman team because he's as important as anybody. Before Bartimas and Valera really came along, when they were all sophomores, Will Hunter was the guy there in that sophomore class. So they're deep, but it's going to be foul trouble. We saw on Tuesday night, when they had to go into their bench, possessions kind of stalled up a little bit. But the Rocks, they got talent, they got athleticism, they got length, and especially they got shooting, and that's going to be the key for them going forward.
I totally agree. Now let's talk about Upper Arlington for a little bit. They've had a great run over these last couple years, some really good players. One of their best, Max Martz, is down right now. Yeah. When do we expect him back? Have you heard anything?
It's a back injury, so you really – in those injuries you just don't know. It's variable. So I'm praying for Max. I hope he gets healthy, but you don't want to rush it. I mean, he's already signed a pin, so I think they're going to take that time with that.
Yes.
And make sure that he's 100% before he steps back on the court. But without him,
we're praying for you, Max, man. Get healthy, man. Come on.
Yeah, we're really it bummed me out. There seems like there's a lot of injuries going on in the area now between guys with mono or broken elbows, knee surgeries, things like that. So you hate to see it, but for Max, that's the key for Upper Arlington because he's their number one offensive option, 6'6", can shoot the jumper on the outside, can post up guys, can defend. Without him, UA is really struggling to find who that number one guy is.
Yeah.
I've been impressed with Sammy Sass, the senior. He's a 3-sport stud.
Yes, great athlete.
I think they need to get him probably a little more involved and let him do what he does off the dribble. But last night, scoring 34 points, that's the lowest they've scored all year. And they can't have performances like that going forward. And, hopefully they get Max back the second time they play Kaufman because if not, I think it could be a similar outcome to what we had last night.
So Kaufman, impressive. UA dealing with injuries, but I'm sure if they can get healthy at the right time before they get to the playoffs, I think that they'll be able to
coming into this season, I don't know why I know this, but in the last 5 years, Upper Arlington had won 107 games.
That's impressive, man.
Before this season. So that was number one in the area. I think the next team had maybe six less than what they had. So
they had a great group, man.
They did.
I mean, a great group.
You go from Kevin Vanata's group, and then you get Dane Goodwin right after that. Right. So you really don't take a bounce back. And then when you have Dane Goodwin, you have Ino Steger, who's playing at Western Carolina now. And then when Ino's a senior, you get Max Martz, who's a freshman. So they've seemed to reload. It's the young talent is still coming along there, but Tim Casey's got a great program going on out there. I mean, they seem to compete. They seem to have the same style every single year. Right now, they're struggling to really defend on the perimeter against athletes. So
yes. That's
going to be a key to watch for them going forward. But Upper Arlington, they're still a great program and probably top 5 in the OCC when it comes to just churning wins out year after year.
Let's go to the City League, man. Let's head to the north side. Centennial versus Lyndon McKinley. This was a matchup between Chance Gross, who you love at Lyndon McKinley, and somebody that I think is underrated on the basketball scene, but people should take notice. This kid has game, has great genes, and that's Miles Martinez at Centennial. Lyndon McKinley gets the victory, but, I mean, the North Division of the City League, we talked about it. All these teams are pretty much still in it. They can get victories and knock off a couple teams and be right back in it. But just talk about what you've seen. Now, Lyndon McKinley had a tough game Tuesday or Thursday. Was it Thursday?
Thursday against Bishop Hartley.
Thursday they played Bishop Hartley, who friended the program, Morgan Safford. He had a big game against Lyndon McKinley. So I'm sure it was tough for them to come back on the bounce back. But they were able to get the victory. Just talk about Miles Martinez, what you've seen from him, and what kind of prospect is he, man, on the next
Miles,
level?
when they played Pick North there at the Challenge, he was, I think, the only guy on that Centennial team that was ready to play from the opening tip. He's committed to Ohio Dominican as a left-handed pitcher where he's got high upside on the baseball field. I've seen him pitch a couple times. But on the basketball court, he's a versatile lefty. He can knock down the mid-range jumper. He can stretch the floor out to the three-point line.
Yes.
But he's really quick for his size. He can move at 6'7", can handle the ball a little bit, can defend on the perimeter. And his biggest thing has been confidence. He's playing at his most confident level right now. In our fall league, he was one of the better performers. And in that senior class, I think he's improved as much as anybody. So he's going to Ohio Dominican for baseball, but I think he could serve a role in that basketball program because he's got the genes. His dad, Jamel, played at Kentucky back in the 90s. Mm-hmm. So when you have high major bloodline like that, the talent's sure to get passed down a little bit. So for him, he's the key for that Centennial team, but their biggest problem is consistency. They got some young players on that team that, sometimes they look like they're ready to play. Other times it doesn't appear that way. So it's going to be discipline for them, making sure, guys get to practice and are there on time and doing what they got to do. But
the little things.
I mean, those things are what separate, the great teams from the good teams and the good teams from the mediocre teams. So for Centennial, that front court between Miles Martinez and Jalen Gilbert is as good as they come, but the guards have really struggled with turning the ball over, man. I mean, in that Pick North game, the Panthers jumped out like 22-4, and a lot of that was just off transition points because they couldn't get the ball across half court. So I imagine that's probably what happened, in that game last night, because Linden is another team. They swarm to the ball. They're long, athletic. They defend. And despite being, 5-6 overall, they're 4-2 in the City League, and just one game back of Beechcroft and Northland. So like we'd said, City League North is wide open. But it's kind of funny. It's coming back down to Beechcroft and Northland there,
right,
in the top two. So
absolutely. Let's move on to a game that we have today, which is Fisher Catholic versus Harvest Prep. CJ Anthony and the guys, they're rolling along. He had the game-winning shot a couple weeks ago. That was awesome. I feel great for him on that as well. He's a great player.
I'm no kid too.
Yes, absolutely. So let's talk about that. Fisher Catholic, they come off a loss last night. Can they rebound? Can they give Harvest Prep the kind of game that we're expecting? Or is Harvest Prep just right now too good on a roll, and they have the ultimate goal that's ahead of them, and they can taste it?
In that MSL division, it's not many teams have the guards for Harvest Prep. They're going to pressure you like crazy, and that's really what they do in those conference games. I mean, they can put up 100 points on any night. I think Fisher Catholic, they're probably going to slow down a little bit and try and control the tempo. But when you have guards like C.J. Anthony and then Brandon Beavers, Avanti Duncan's a senior off the bench I like a lot. He comes in and provides them with some great energy. The Warriors, man, they're just so deep right now. They're not as big as they have been in years past. Elijah Glenn's really like their only true post player, but they're athletic as hell. When you have C.J. and then seniors like Sol Hines and Andrew Tate, guys that can get out in transition and finish at the rim, knock down shots. There's just so many weapons there. Fishers doesn't have the size that Harvest Prep does, but they do have some tough seniors and a great coach. So I think Fisher can keep it close. I see the depth and talent of Harvest Prep pulling away late, but I think Harvest Prep is probably a 10 to 15 point favorite in this game. But I could see Fisher Catholic, make it maybe a little interesting there in the third quarter and maybe into the fourth.
All right, let's talk about these last two games, man. Pick Central versus Gahanna. We'll spend some time on Pick Central. We talked about them earlier, but they're going to have some losses. Gahanna, we know Sean Jones leading that group. They have some youth and some talent. They have some veteran leadership in the backcourt that's going to try to propel them. And then I want to spend some time on the game that we were at last night, which was Canal Winchester, and how they are extremely underrated around this area. People need to take notice of Canal Winchester. They got a really good basketball team over there. So Pick Central, let's just, again, Sam and Jay going to be gone after last night.
Yep, so that was game 11. Game 12 is today on the road at Eastmoor, and both of those guys, for now, have been ruled ineligible by the OHSA due to their transfer. So
let's keep the
they're
door
still
open.
fighting it. I don't know if I think it is almost a done deal, but there's still maybe a little small chance that those guys could be back. But right now, it's not looking too good for the Tigers.
So the Tigers are going to have to do some reshuffling, but they have one of the best players in the area, Javon Garcia, one of the best players in the state. So I'm looking for him to uplift this program, kind of carry it. He does the thing when he gets to dunking. He raises the roof. I'm going to need that. I need you to raise up the team, Garcia, and carry them. For sure, you have the ability to do that, and it's a lot of good guys around him, even with minus Jay and Sam. They still have talent there, and they should be able to continue to be one of the top teams in the area. Gahanna, we talked about before, tournament time is going to be where they really get tested, and at the end of the year, as these games become closer, and you're going to need that veteran leadership to kind of get you through there. Go ahead.
So Gahanna, I mean, we've mentioned it earlier, they're young, and they're in by far the toughest conference in the area. I was doing some research just yesterday. In 9 conference games, the OCC Ohio as an entire conference is 33-9 this year.
That's unbelievable.
And then if you take the top 4 teams with the Pickeringtons and then Reynoldsburg and Gahanna, they're 24-3. So those teams, there's not an easy game in that conference. I mean, even Lancaster kept it close with Gahanna, and then Lancaster knocked off Grove City earlier in the year. So there's not an easy game. Gahanna, you know, when you have one senior, that's some youth that has to grow up really fast. And I think their first conference game was against Pickerington North, so they had to, or maybe it was Reynoldsburg, actually. We were both there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that was a game that went back and forth. You know, Gahanna had the edge there early, and then Reynoldsburg kind of took it over late. But for Pick Central, you lose 2 seniors, you lose 2 starters, 2 guys that have been around the program forever. It definitely hurts. You know, I hate to see it happen. You know, both of these kids, they just wanted to come home. You know, when they moved to Springfield, that was more of a family situation. It had nothing to do with basketball. They took that basically as an international baccalaureate program that they enrolled in at Springfield. Sam Towns Sr. would drive Jay and Sam all the way to Springfield and back every single day. And it was really – those kids needed a change of environment, change of scenery, because they were kind of going down the wrong path as freshmen. That intended, you know, process took its toll. The kids had grown up. The kids had matured. And coming into the summer, you know, they felt like – and the dad, you know, Leon Rogers and Sam Towns Sr. felt like it was time for those guys to come home. You know, they had matured. They had really gone through the process they had intended by going to Springfield. So to see them now, you know, being eligible for the second half of the season, it hurts for them. Again, I didn't mind the last transfer rule where you sat the first 11 games. I thought that made a little more sense than this. Yeah. But I understand, you know, other small schools that don't get transfers. I can see where they would be
trying to deter this,
trying to deter this and maybe even the playing field in their eyes. So it hurts for those 2 kids. I just, more than anything, you know, I just hate to see kids lose opportunity. And for those guys, they're both, you know, seniors that haven't committed anywhere. I'd love to see them get an opportunity to, you know, play with their brothers down the stretch and, you know, maybe earn a chance at further college opportunities.
And for all adults involved, man, and that's from parents to coaches to administrators, the Ohio High School Athletic Association. Sometimes we make these rules and it's kind of like one person slams their fist down and says, this is it. I think we need to open up this dialogue. I need more people involved, brighter people. Not to say that people at Ohio High School aren't bright, but just other minds that can come and find out a way to get this to a point where we're not taking this opportunity away from the young men and women.
I mean, I think recruiting definitely needs to not be as rampant as it is right now. That's but true. Again, if adults are the one breaking rules, I'm just not sure that the kids should be the one that, you know, pay the price. So that's my beef with it. Like, I understand the logic behind the rule, and I understand, you know, trying to level the playing field when you have guys that are being recruited into other programs. But again, I just don't know if kids in Paris should be punished for doing what they feel is right for their children. I mean, you only get 4 years to impress, you know, the right college that could offer your son. So sometimes that involves a change of scenery and going to a different program. You know, there are kids that have to transfer because whether, you know, they're in a program they're not being developed or they got a coaching staff that really isn't invested in the kids and they feel like they have to make a change. I just hate to see those guys, you know, be affected. The young man we talked about the first show, Khalil Kamara from Westland, he's ineligible for the second half of the year, even though he moved from Philadelphia here. He even can't play for Westland for the second half, and I hate to see that for that kid because he left Philadelphia because it was a rough home environment where he was at, Northwest Philly, went to a public school that was one of the toughest in that area, and moved in with his sister here in Columbus, who she lives right across the street. It's a stable home. I talked to the kid. He said it for the first time, like he feels safe where he's living. He doesn't have to watch his back when he, you know, leaves the house. And, you know, Westland, they're like 2-9, 2-10. It's not like they were, you know, a powerhouse program recruiting a player. But from the OHSA, I emailed the OHSA to kind of get the understanding behind the rule. They said Ohio has a bylaw that says if your parents don't live in Ohio, you're ineligible to compete in sports in Ohio. So Khalil's mom, even though, you know, he told me that custody was changed, mom still lives in Philadelphia. So that was, from what I understood, from what I was, you know, told by the OHSA, that was the reason for, you know, why he's ineligible for the second half of the season.
It's a sad state. But we'll everybody that's involved in this will all keep working, I'm sure, to get this rectified and cleaned up. So last game of the Pick Six. Let's talk about it. History was made last night. Newark had a 24-game conference win streak. Canal Winchester. I told you what I got from the game. Canal Winchester was tough.
They're tough. Yeah.
Physically, mentally, they never stopped going hard at
They were going
Newark.
At Newark from the opening tip.
Opening tip. Like as you wrote, opened the game on a 22-7 first quarter lead. And
Bilal So is that dude, man.
Yes, he is.
That kid.
If you don't know him, say it again for me one time.
Bilal So. He actually started last season on JV, and his first varsity action was against Pickerington North, and I think he hit 4 or 5 threes that game, had about 16 points. Since then, they haven't been able to take him out of the lineup. Last night, had an efficient 26. He probably could have had 40 if he got a little more touches there on the block, because he could have taken some selfish shots, but he always made the right pass and got guys open. So this junior, Bilal So, is a stud, but I love Brady Snyder. And then a guy who doesn't get enough recognition is Cole Metzler. He cleaned up the glass last night with 15 rebounds. He had 12 in the first half.
15 boards, and I mean, he was aggressive. He was going after balls.
Offensive rebounds, he had like 4 or 5 in the first half alone. That led to second chance points. So
he was a perfect match for Bilal.
Yeah, got an inside guy and outside guy. So
yes,
they got pieces. It's the three-headed monster there and then Brady Snyder, the senior, 12 points, 10 assists, got him going with scoring early on, and then I think he just started facilitating after that and got Bilal involved and got Cole involved. They're 11-0. You don't go 11-0 by accident.
You can't get better than that right now.
And beating Newark, that's the biggest win anyone in that division has had. It seems like teams in that division, since Newark was moved to the capital, they'd play close with Newark, and then Newark would kind of make a run in the second half, and those teams would fold. It felt like that was going to happen last night. It was about 56-54 with I think 6 minutes to go. And Canal they responded with like a 6-0 run and, brought it back to 8 points and didn't let go of that lead going forward. So for them, that showed me a lot of mental toughness that they have. Newark comes at you in waves and they travel like crazy. So when they don't like a call, it feels like you're at Newark.
It did feel like that last night. Shout out to the Newark crowd for coming. They came to play.
They always do.
Canal Winchester's crowd came to play. It was an awesome atmosphere. Look, from football to right now in the basketball 11 games, Canal Winchester hasn't lost a lot of games, okay?
No.
So people need to take notice of that program at Canal Winchester. They're going to do some upgrades to the facility. This is going to be, if they can get the right personnel in there, athletic director down, this is going to be one of the top programs in this area when it comes to athletics. They're putting the pieces together right now. So watch out for Canal Winchester. Bilal So. Watch out for these young men in the post. I was worried. He shot a lot of threes in the warm-ups. I said, I hope this big physical-looking guy doesn't come out and jack up a lot of threes. And when the game started and the whistle blew.
He's got a good inside-outside game.
He does. He made a couple threes, but he was down there, put backs, tough to guard in the post.
He's got like a Kevin Durant wingspan, too.
Yes, he does.
He's probably 6'4", but that wingspan's 6'9", 6'10", blocking shots, rebounding, going up over guys, and just snatching that ball down. It's a great player, man. That's a great complimentary piece when you have, a ball handler that can score like Brady Snyder. Extremely
impressive. So they take down Newark. Again, Newark had a 24-game win streak snap. They're going to be fine. They're good. Yeah,
Jeff Quackenbush is as good as they come when it comes to coaching the OCC.
Let's move on to something fun, man. That was the end of the Pick Six. Brought to you by Just Hoops. Again, get out there, get some shots up. Just Hoops, a great facility for you to go and work on your game. You want to do that. Let's have some fun, man. One of the best players in America. I love this. I love the interviews, man, where we can showcase our Central Ohio's own incredible athletes. And we've got one of the best football and basketball from Pickerington North High School, Jack Sawyer. Okay. Hey, welcome to the show, man.
Appreciate you guys for having me on,
man?
You're welcome.
Yes, sir.
This is like the hard-hitting, sweet shooting Jack Sawyer of Pickerington North High School, man. And Zach, I'm gonna let you start him off with the questions, man. But this is one of the best athletes in America that we have on the Central Ohio Hoops Report, man.
All right. So my first question is, what's your secret? Like, how the hell do you? How are you so skilled in basketball when you're a 5-star defensive end that is on the radar of every college coach in America? Where do you get the time? I mean,
I don't know. It's kind of hard sometimes, but I guess I get it from my parents. My mom was one of the best basketball players, in the country when she was in high school. So I guess I kind of get a lot of her genetics.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of her work ethic. And my dad was a great football player as well, just didn't really have the size. So I guess that's where I get my my athletic ability from.
Look, you brought it up, so let's talk about it. Your mom, Michelle Sawyer now, but Michelle Shea back in high school. She went to Pickerington Central when there was only one Pickerington school. She's one of the best players that ever come out of this area, out of that school. I remember her beating my high school, stopping us from a couple state championships, as we talked about in the pre-production, man. So just talk about what that's like. Just talk about growing up. Was that something that she brought up to you a lot? Like, hey, this is what I did, this was my path, or is this something that you just kind of learned growing up?
She never really liked to brag about herself. My parents wanted us to be, me and my sister, be our own people. So they just kind of instilled in us to be hard workers, be good people as well, just take care of stuff in the classroom and on the gridiron or the hardwood. And, if you work hard, be a good person, things are going to be good to you too.
That's awesome, man. Definitely. Outstanding family, incredible genetics. So there's no surprise that you're here. Look, this is a basketball show, and I got that, but I want to take you back a little bit, okay? Just talk about the season you had. It was impressive. It didn't come out in the amount of victories and the playoff performance, the playoff berth that you guys would have wanted at Pickerington North, but you still got a lot of great players, a lot of great performances. But just talk about your season individually. Did you get what you expected from it this year?
I thought it was a great season. I thought we were rolling early on. We go and play a Western Central team that was one of the best in the area at the time. We beat them 56-0.
Yes.
And, at that time, everything was high and good. They were talking about us being one of the best teams in the state. And then we kind of had a letdown in Dublin Coffin. One of our best players gets hurt, Ben Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
They come back and beat us. And then it's kind of like, it's Pick North done. We kind of struggle a little bit more, get a tough win, and then lose to Pick Central, which was kind of, a tough loss. It's always a tough loss to lose your rival. And then there are people wondering if we're going to get in the playoffs or not. And then we go and lose one to Lancaster too. And, it was tough not making the playoffs, but I feel like we had a great year. And next year is definitely going to be even better.
I do believe so, man. I got a chance to watch you play a couple times, man. Just the aggression, just the size, the speed, the athletic ability. You also play some offense.
Yes, sir.
All right, caught a couple passes out there. Just talk about playing offense. The defense is your calling card. But do you like to get your hands on the ball and make plays and get in the end zone?
Most definitely. I love scoring touchdowns too, but getting sacks is probably my favorite. But like you said, I catch a couple passes a game too. Whatever I can do to help the offense get going. I like having the ball in my hands and making plays. It's all fun to me. So I just love doing it.
Absolutely. Again, this is one of the top recruits in America right here at Pickerington North High School. Jack Sawyer, one of the best players. Zach, I'm going to let you hit him with some basketball questions, and I'm going to come back with some.
I had a football question first.
Well, keep going.
So,
let's go. Yeah.
There's been some major coaching changes in the Big Ten lately, especially at Ohio State. Ohio State was one of the first programs that were on you early.
Yes, sir.
What's your relationship like with Ryan Day? How do you feel about him as a coach, and how do you think he's going to do at Ohio State?
Me and Coach Day, early on when he first took the job, he made one of the first stops to come see me, which means a lot to me. That he'd come and see me early on when he has a bunch of 2019 recruits that he has to keep locked up. And so I did visit down there too for a bowl practice, and we had meetings with him too. And I have a great relationship with him so far, and I feel good about Ohio State right now.
And then Coach Al Washington was in Michigan. According to 24/7 Sports, that was your recruiter. What's your relationship with Al Washington, and how do you think he's going to help Ohio State's?
So he was the first guy to ever recruit me. Cincinnati was my first offer, and he was the D-line coach there. He was the first guy to give me an offer. So me and him have a great relationship ever since he was back in Cincinnati, and then when he went to Michigan too. So we've built a great relationship over the years.
And then on the basketball court, so we talked about this before the show got going. That turnaround jumper, you said you don't know really where it came from. Against Dublin Coffin, that is everything you did almost. It was dominant. Just talk about, where you learned to shoot that shot, and then how you're going to use that shot going forward when guys try and, defend you different ways. Just talk about, where you learned that shot and just how you're using it right now.
I think I learned it in AAU this season. We were playing against Indy Heat. I think they have a couple 6'10" kids. I wasn't getting my shots off easily, and one time I just stopped and turned around and hit one in a 6'10" dude's face. And ever since then, I just kept doing it, and it kept working. So it's became one of my main moves, and I'm just going to continue to keep using it until someone can stop it. So that's how I feel about it.
If there's anyone in the area that can stop that shot right now, for me, it's the best turnaround fadeaway I've seen since Seth Towns. For you.
George Reese, man.
Compared him to a legend from the 90s.
Yeah, George Reese, back from Independence, man, and Ohio State fame. I think the shot is physical, right?
Oh,
you
yeah.
get a chance to be physical up on the shot. But then again, it's a new day and age, and everybody wants to shoot the three. And I appreciate the fact that you go down there,
Yes, sir.
kind of like a LaMarcus Aldridge who scored 56 points the other night. It's an easy basket for you. You got the size to shoot over people. So I think it's an awesome shot, and continue to master that.
For sure.
You know what
Yes,
I mean?
sir.
But the thing I like about you on the basketball court, you do it all. Okay,
Yep.
you facilitate, you get your teammates involved. Just talk about what it's like on that end as well, playing defense here, just playing the whole game, not just a score, but doing everything that you do.
Yeah, so, I mean, basketball is obviously one of the biggest team sports there is, and I don't want to be a ball hog, but obviously, I can score the ball, and I want to do that for my team. But, moving the ball around, just getting better shots when maybe my shot's not the best, kicking it to the open man just makes our offense move a whole lot better. And then, obviously one of my biggest things I like to do too is get rebounds. Rebounds are a big part of basketball. If you out-rebound a team, most likely you're going to win the game. So I like being aggressive on there and helping my team get boards, more possessions, more points. That's a big way to win the game in high school basketball.
I've been impressed with your toughness ever since your freshman year. I mean, you were on a team mainly of seniors last year, and I mean, if a guy made a mistake, like, you weren't shy to let him know. And I think that was really cool. Just watching it. I remember that Dublin Kaufman game last year. I'm like, this dude's a freshman, and he's like grabbing dudes by the jersey and yelling at him. I just love that. Talk about your toughness. I mean, you can't be the type of player you are in both sports without being tough. Like, where did that come from? Is that did your parents instill that in you?
Oh, yeah. That definitely comes from my parents ever since I was young, playing me up, not letting me be just the greatest player in my grade, always make me play against older kids, just instilling with me everything I do. Everything's not going to be easy, so playing in the backyard against my mom and my dad, they never let me win. So that probably comes with, being tough. And especially with football just makes you a tougher player, tougher person in life. Because, you're going to get hit, you're going to get knocked on your back. It's how you get up and keep going, and that's where it comes from.
Let me take you back to being a young tyke, like you talked about, being back there with mom and dad and everything like that. The sports you played growing up, obviously you were playing football, you were playing basketball. Another sport that you talked about, you played baseball. And just talk about how good you were at that. And you could be a potentially three-sport in high school athlete that had a chance to play on the Division I level. Just talk about the gifts that that you have in your ability.
Yeah, so I played baseball my whole life growing up, ever since I was a little kid. And getting to high school, everyone was talking to me about being, a 12-year letter winner, which that would mean a lot to me. But after my freshman season in football and getting all the early recruitment that I did and the early offers, I thought it was time to hang baseball up for good, probably. And this big spring's a huge thing for football with camps and getting stronger in speed training and basketball as well. And I just felt like it was better for me to give up baseball and try to keep getting as big as I can and as fast as I can, as strong as I can for football, because I feel like that's my future.
Man, I wish I was like good like that in just one sport, But
Absolutely.
To see a player like you just doing it on both courts or both fields, both courts, and just being as skilled as you are, it's really incredible. Because it seems like not a lot of guys, put the work into their skill development. So to see that for you, being busy literally all summer and spring and fall with football, to still, have the time to develop into a reliable, post scorer with the turnaround jumper, and then obviously your post up ability is really fun to watch. For you, you guys had a disappointing end to your basketball season this past year.
Yeah.
What's it going to take to get back to the district finals, and how are you going to have to lead this team, even though you're a sophomore? What's it going to take from you to get those guys back to that level?
Coach Bates, every practice, he's on us about it. Last year, the letdown we had against Mount Vernon, which we got to give credit to them too. They played a great game, but there's no way that team should have lost to them. And I think everybody knows that. And this year we've had a different kind of swag to us about us. And every day in practice, it's a battle. Coach Bates is really taking that onto us. And for me, it's got to be a better leader for our team. I'm probably like the only good kid on there besides Hunter and Chris a little bit that played a lot last year as a big role. And I just got to be able to score the ball and get a bunch of rebounds, help play defense, and just got to help lead our team a little better. And I feel like if I do that, then we'll be really good in the tournament.
I know a lot of people ask you about football, but you're a really good basketball player. Is there any scenario, envision, where Jack Sawyer is playing Division I basketball in a couple years instead of football?
I get asked that question a lot, and I'd say the only time I think about it is if Duke came or someone, or Michigan or Ohio State or Michigan State in basketball, then I might consider it. But other than that, I probably won't.
No, I want to see him. Maybe you pick whatever school you want, but in the fall of 2021,
You said
Ohio
it.
State grad, I would love on opposite ends of the defensive line. You got Zach and Jack. That would be.
You guys can hashtag too, man. Hashtag the year, Jack and Zach. How awesome would that be, man?
But, take the best offer, take the best fit.
Right.
But I'm an Ohio State grad, so I always pump the Buckeyes. But, this offer list is already pretty incredible according to 24/7 Sports.
Read 'em.
Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State, Penn State, Cincinnati, Georgia Tech, Indiana, Kentucky, Maryland, Notre Dame, Pittsburgh.
And everybody else who's not on
Sophomore.
the list, they just sleeping right now.
Or there may be offers that aren't reported, but some pretty great programs on here with a lot of defensive line talent. A school like Kentucky, Josh Allen's been an animal this year.
Yes, one of the top players drafted.
I
is
like
no
what
doubt
Coach
coming up.
Stoops is doing down there as well. They're
Yes.
taking guys, especially guys from Ohio that didn't get the Ohio State, Michigan offers, and coming down there and turn into great great football players. So that's congrats again on just
Appreciate
your
it.
recruitment and everything that's going on, the accomplishments you're having. There's really, I don't think you can find many players across the country with his accomplishments in multiple sports. If you were still able to play baseball, I'm sure you'd be right up there with the Joey
getting drafted,
Velasquez's
right.
of the baseball prospects too. So I love seeing multi-sport athletes. I don't like when guys just kind of specialize to one sport because you never know what
Right.
opportunities could be in those other sports. So again, just congrats on the success you've had, and it's been it's only been a year and a half, but it's been really fun to cover you.
Appreciate that.
At this point. So
Yes.
Thank you.
I want to piggyback on what he read a list of schools there. Some of those are awesome academic
Yes, sir.
institutions. So we'd like to do a PSA here that you're going to do right now. And I want you to talk about the importance of academics. To have a list that impressive, that means that not only are you an outstanding athlete, but you are taking the classroom very seriously to have this kind of opportunity. Please tell the audience out there why this is so important for you in your future.
Yes, sir. Without school, without getting the grades, probably I wouldn't be having any offers right now, and you wouldn't be able to get recruited if you didn't take classroom seriously, take your grades seriously, carry yourself off the court, with some respect to others, and just be a good person as well. But grades are the most important thing right now. If you're not doing that first, then you probably shouldn't be worrying about basketball or football or anything else. So everyone just gotta study, get their grades done, and you'll be good. You'll be good.
Do you have any particular habits that you had to break to be better academically?
Some of the habits. I'd say probably just put the Xbox or PS4 controller down a little bit more, and just study a little bit more and get your grades right first, and then that's most important.
Yeah, that stuff will always be there.
Right.
Absolutely.
I got
man.
a comment from my dad. He says another son of a Westland guy.
Yeah.
My dad and your dad went to high school together.
Really?
Apparently, he said shout out to Lyle Sawyer.
Yeah.
So
yep.
Mike Fleer is my dad. He was class of '87 at Westland. So
Okay. Yeah.
so that's a shout out to the '80s grads at Westland High School. So
You had no idea that it was disconnected.
Oh, I
when
didn't.
you
I
walked in
didn't
here
know.
this morning, did you? Oh man, what a morning it's been. So look, again, we talked about Coach Bates, Pick North, what you guys are looking forward to. Let's kind of fast forward a little bit. You got a
Okay.
big year coming up, right?
Right.
Your summer and spring is going to be, I'm sure, nonstop, 24/7 working out. You talked about the speed and what is it that you want? What's the player that you want to be next year as a junior to go from maybe the number 5 defensive end to the number 1 defensive end, and basically put everybody on notice that Jack Sawyer, best defensive player in America, so the offers can continue to flood in.
I just want to be the best player I can possibly be, and I feel like if I'm the best player I can possibly be, then I'll be the best player in the country. And I just want to continue to work as hard as I can, and never get complacent. Because if I get complacent and start slacking a little bit, miss a workout here, miss a weight room session here, then it's going to start coming back to me. Players are going to catch me, and that's always motivated me. I've never wanted to be average, and I'm kind of scared to be average. So that's why I've always worked so hard, and I want to be the best player in America, and that's really my goal.
Awesome. Yeah.
well,
All right, so
it's incredible. I mean,
yes.
to have a player like this on our show, Two Sports, it's been really fun to talk about already.
Yes, sir.
And again, I just congratulate you on everything that you've accomplished, and also on the the academic side as well. A lot of guys, they get caught up in the hype for
Right.
these sports, and they kind of take school lightly. And for you to not do that, I think it's very impressive. And again, best of luck going forward. I think you're going to accomplish some great things, and we're very fortunate to be able to cover a player of your caliber here in Central Ohio. So.
Absolutely. I got a couple more things, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And as we get a chance to wrap this up, I always like people to talk about who helped you get here. Okay, you didn't get here by yourself. Obviously, we know mom's a legend, dad's a legend. You know what I mean? So your genes are good. But who are some of the other people? I'm talking about teammates, coaches, and people that you've surrounded yourself with that have helped you get to this level to be the player and the student athlete that you are today.
It's probably, obviously my parents, the biggest roles in my life right
Yes.
now and getting me to where I am. And I'd have to say all my friends, my family. One of the little point guard on my team, the redhead, his dad's like my second dad pretty much. Growing up, he's been helping me my whole life. And my AAU coach, Dave Mergen, AJ Mergen's dad, they played big roles for me. And a couple of the recruiting analysts like Mark Givler and those guys, Bill Green, they've helped me get my name out and stuff. Zach Fleer, yep, you guys too. And I appreciate everything you guys do for me. And I'm just thankful to be in the situation I am with the people I'm with, and just blessed. Yes, sir.
Shout out some more of those teammates. You named some basketball teammates, but name some of those football teammates. You got great players.
Yes, sir.
You got Chris Scott on your team that's coming back. You've played with two basically all-state quarterbacks the last couple of years, Mike Lowry, Jimmy Ryrick. You're going to have another one that's coming in next year that's going to be good. So just shout out to your football teammates, the linemen, Tyler Foster, another friend of the program.
Yes,
here.
sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to shout out Alex Williams, too. When I was a freshman playing the other side DN, he kind of took me under his wing a little bit. Taught me some technique that he's learned as he's at Ohio State right now playing D-line. And Jimmy Wyrick, too, because, he was highly recruited, just a couple inches off from being, I feel like, one of the best quarterbacks in America.
Yeah.
And, he taught me how to carry myself and how to be a great football player as well. Mike Lowry, great quarterback, too. Ben Johnson, one of the best football players I've been around. Just from him, he doesn't really talk that much, but you show up in the workout, man, and he's just one of the hardest workers there. Tyler Foster, like you said, one of the best tight ends in Ohio. I feel like he is the best tight end in Ohio. He's one of the hardest workers too. Great kid, great academic too. 4.3, I think.
Wow.
So just those guys I've been able to be around has just been a blessing for me as an early recruit.
Well, again, if you haven't had a chance to see him, either on the basketball side or the football side, this is a young man that you definitely want to get out to see. Pick North is going to be loaded next year in football, so definitely if you're a football person, get out there and see him on the gridiron. If you're a basketball, you still got time this year. See him on the basketball court. He's one of the best players in the state. Zach, anything that you want to give Jack before we wrap it up with him, man?
Hey, I think that next Pick Central game, I think you guys will have a shot at
Yes,
seeing
sir.
you 3 times in the last couple of weeks. It's young talent. Just another question for me. You guys have a ton of freshman, sophomore, junior talent. What's the future of Pick North basketball going to be like with these guys in the program right now?
I think our junior class and my sophomore class, I think we're gonna go the farthest we ever won in the playoffs. I'm saying it right now. I think we're gonna get past the region. So we'll see.
They have. If you guys haven't seen Pick North yet, get to a JV game. The freshman Jerry Saunders has been lighting it up.
Yeah.
They have another freshman,
Dior
Connors, who
great.
can play. I like Corey Hudson, who's another freshman.
Corey.
In that sophomore class, obviously Jack is the top guy, but Casey George has been a sophomore that's really started the last several games at the point guard spot.
One was Drees, too.
Drees is tough, too.
Yes,
That's a throwback City League type guard.
Yeah, he was.
There's some weapons there at Pick North. With you leading the show, I think you guys have a shot to go as far as you mentioned. If it's not this year, I think next year definitely you guys could be the team to beat in the area as you gain more experience. So if you haven't seen Pick North football, basketball, come see these guys. Jack Sawyer is worth the price of admission. You don't become a 5-star player by accident. And I'll say it right now, he's the best sophomore player in the state of Ohio on the basketball court. You can say other guys may be better prospects, but this dude's the best player. He's the most skilled, polished. You don't drop 22 points on maybe 10 shots, 11 shots against Kaufman like you did. So just keep up the hard work. It's obviously going to pay off. You got that Westland bloodline. I do too. So
yes, sir.
There must be something in it. But again, thanks for coming on the program. You're a great kid, and I got some great parents. So best of luck to you. And again, it's just been an honor to be able to talk to you here.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having me on.
We appreciate you, man. That's Jack Sawyer from Pickerington North, one of the top football and basketball players in America.
Won't find another guy in America, I think, that's as good in two sports like that, especially if it's just baseball or basketball and football.
Yes.
Like Jack. So shout out to Jack and Pick North, especially Coach Bates for pushing back practice to let him come on.
That's true.
We do appreciate that, so thank you guys again. But our last
segment
part of the show
night.
is
Yes.
one of my favorite parts of the show, Stars of the Night.
Stars of the Night.
We'll start from the bottom. Carter Jones, Centerburg, sophomore, 30 points. They took down Fredericktown, and the KMAC Fredericktown has been one of the better teams there. Carter's only a sophomore. He can really play.
Shout out Carter.
Carter Jones, wing forward, can knock down shots, can play in the post. Just a tough kid. Ben Roderick had 31 points last night for Olentangy Liberty against Olentangy. They get the W. Another Olentangy Liberty player, Nick Nikashian, 32 points on Tuesday night against Gahanna. I believe that was a career high for Nick. He's having a great season. And the loss last night against Olentangy Liberty, that must be the trend here in this section. Sean Marks, 36 points for Olentangy. That's actually not a career high. He had a couple 40-point games last year. Another guy that's in just hoops all the time, putting up shots.
He's a great player and a great shooter. He definitely is, Sean Marks. Shout out to him.
High Dominican got a steal with Sean.
Yes.
Coach Dan Evans was there all AAU summer long, recruiting that kid. You know, others can say, oh, you know, he's too small, he's not athletic enough. Sean Marks can play basketball, and really big fan of his. Otto Coons, the junior at Bloom Carroll.
Hey, man, Otto live in this segment.
He's always here.
I feel like Otto, he has residence in this segment.
And he's another guy that's a big-time football and basketball player. He was amazing as a quarterback this year for Bloom Carroll. He had 39 points on Tuesday night. They took the loss to Hamilton Township, but still 39 points. That's a career high for him. And then the top scorer, Brock Unger of Bern Union, 49 points on Thursday night. Bern Union takes down Granville Christian. Brock broke a Bern Union scoring record that has stood since 1955. He hit 10 threes in the game, and he's only a sophomore. So,
man, look at that list. You got sophomores on here.
Sophomore, junior, senior, sophomore. And the talent level.
Two-sport athletes.
Guys that are doing it, multiple sports. And what I like about this is, you know, we have a couple rural players out in Bern Union, Bloom Carroll, Centerburg. You know, guys all over Central Ohio are getting it done right now.
Absolutely, man. Shout out to Brock, man. Hit another free throw and get that 50 burger.
Check out Bern Union. The Rockets they're going to be right there in D4. I really love what Coach Snively's doing out there, and with players like Brock Unger, Chase McCartney, Zane Mergen. They have some talent there. I think, you know, they went to overtime with Fisher Catholic in their first matchup in the MSL. So look for them in the Division IV district tournament. Bern Union's got some players.
Hey, we do this when we can, Saturdays, unless Zach's out of town or Jason's getting married or something like that. We're here Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., the Central Ohio Hoops Report. Again, I want to thank everybody that was checking in with us, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Just continue to check in with the show pages on 270 Hoops and on the Central Ohio High School Showcase, bringing this content to you, man, and bring you some of the top athletes in America right here in our own backyard in Central Ohio. So it's a blessing that we get a chance to do this. Zach, anything you want to close out with the people for, man?
I hope the snow stops because I want to watch some basketball today, but it's looking like that may not happen. So everyone on the roads, be safe, and hopefully Old Man Winter stops pouring more snow on us. So it's
just so bad, man. No snow in December, and now we get to January.
I was supposed to watch Logan Elm today. I've never seen Logan Elm. That game got canceled, so we'll see what other games have been canceled. That's one part I hate about this season because on the back end of the website, I got to reschedule all of those games, and that's not very fun. But hopefully the snow stops, and we can watch some basketball today.
It's been a pleasure, guys. The Central Ohio Hoops Report, man. Zach Fleer, I'm Derrick Owens Jr., man. We checking out. Be easy. Peace.